Everyone knows that the key to green screens is tricking the audience to make you think that you're in a different space than you're really at. Let me know in the comments below if you knew that I was keying myself into my own studio. As you can see, the green screen is behind me. Well, this is confusing. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul, and on this channel, we do a ton of tech and gadget reviews, so make sure to hit that subscribe button that's right down there so you can watch more videos just like this one. I'm pretty familiar with green screens because I pretty much exclusively filmed on them for my first year on YouTube, maybe even year and a half, until finally I got this awesome studio space. It's actually right behind the camera behind here, but it's kind of closing off the area, breaking up the room. And recently, Neewer reached out to me and said, "You want to review some of our products?" And I said, absolutely. Send me that green screen that rolls up. I've been eyeing that thing because it's gonna fit great in this studio space, as you can see in the intro. We're gonna be taking a look at that in this video. Make sure to check out the affiliate link in the description below if you wanna pick one up for yourself or also find out more information. Super quick, the mechanical aspects of it. It is an aluminum case. It is about 17.2 pounds. There is a handle on the top, and there's little feet that flip around on the bottom for stability, because once you pull this thing up, it needs some stability to it. And that's pretty much it. There are little latches on the front. They seem to work just fine. It folds open, and that's where you get the unit itself. I need to put this down because it goes up to 77.5 inches is where it wants to stay at. And I don't have enough ceiling room here with it up on this table. We're gonna move it back so you can see it. It's awesome to live in 2019. Once we have it down on the floor right here, we flip up the latches, we fold it open, and what you'll find on the top is a little lift handle that we're gonna lift straight up. It almost feels like it's pushing up by itself. It gets to 77.5 inches tall. It is just under 60 inches wide, which means if I'm standing against it, which you don't wanna do with a green screen, I can actually jump up and down and still be within it, and I can put my arms pretty far out without having any issues. Now, cameras and angles is the thing you need to pay attention to. As you get closer to the camera, obviously the angles means that there's less green screen behind you. I can still stand pretty close to the camera and my head is still within it, and I can still do arm movements like this. This is about where I naturally stand when I do my videos, and I can do pretty good arm movements and little motions and still be within the green screen. Now, the next thing to talk about is the material itself, so let's look at that. You'll notice that I do have Edison bulbs hanging around my studio, which is not great here because it does shine through. If we click on the green screen, now let's click it back off, you can see where that is shining through a little bit if you have a really dark background. Quite frankly, if you use a lighter background like this or this, you really can't notice it too much. So I might not deal with it too much unless it's a particular background I'm dealing with. Now, as far as the actual green, you can also see the little bit of shadow here, again, because it's backlit, but I was able to kind of get through that with a lot of the stuff I've been doing. But it is pretty reflective, and I'm not creating shadows on there. I have lights kind of all over the ceiling, but I have two main lights, a fill and a key light that you can't see. They're out of the frame right now, so that's working pretty good. Turn the studio power off. Real quick, I want to show you what it looks like with all the studio lights off, except for a fill light and key light, which you can't see over here. Previously, on my other green screen, I always had to put a light facing right here to shine on it, and another light over here to get it lit up enough. This seems to be reflective enough, or accepting of the light enough, that it seems to be uniform and not casting a shadow. So I'm pretty impressed with that. So as far as the material goes, it's a pretty good size. It's gonna fit most people. If you're sitting down doing gaming, it's gonna be just fine for you. If you're probably 6 feet or smaller, you're gonna be fine. And if you're over that, you're gonna have to stand pretty close to it to make sure your head's within there. As far as the other parts with the opacity, as far as how opaque it is, I wish it was a little bit more opaque so the light wouldn't go through, but there are ways to mitigate that, and I'm gonna be able to do that. And I do like that it is a balanced look, which is some basic lighting, and I'm not gonna have to move any lights around to make this work. The thing is stable as far as how it's placed. You do read in the instructions, there is a lot of warnings though about not pushing down on the two sides, and I'm always opening it and shutting it with the middle because of the structure. So we're gonna flip it around so we can look at the structure right now. All right, so watch this structure as I open it up. It's like an accordion. You can see that this thing is pretty fragile. If there was a lot of wind, it suggests not using it when there's wind because it's gonna blow it right over. In the studio space, it's gonna be just fine. There's no wind as long as no one's trying to push it over or knock it over. This thing will stretch out if it goes too high, and there are little pneumatic springs down at the bottom that's gonna kind of give that tension to keep it up or keep it locked down. That's working pretty well, but this is the natural height that it wants to be at. I have seen reviews of the Neewer one as well as other brands that are out there where people don't lift from the center portion and the whole thing collapses and gets mangled up and such. So you just want to be really careful always to lift it and lower it from that center portion. The rolling on the sides, I did find that if you get any bit of kind of a side-to-side movement whenever you're rolling it up, it could get slightly off on those sides. And I did notice that there is a slight rolling here on the sides, but so far I can't see any issues with shadows because my light's coming in from the front and not directly from the side, so it's not really affecting anything. Another note, they also suggest always having it in that folded position and not just leaving it up because the springs will wear out or lose their tension. So my plan with this is to leave it right here behind me on the ground, and I can just pull it up when I need to and push it out of the way when I don't need it. And I can always pick it up and just move it somewhere else with that nice handle if I have to. Most of the time this table is at sitting distance or at the standing distance and you won't even see the ground. If I'm doing something on the ground, I'll probably move it out of the way. The other spot I can put it is right behind the camera there, where it pops up and goes down where that other green screen's at, which I'm gonna be taking down at the end of this video because, well, I don't think I need it anymore. Overall, is this green screen for you? Question number one, do you need to leave it up all the time or can you take it down and pull it back up again? If you need it up all the time, 100% of the time, this is not for you. You need a permanent stand. This is for someone that wants a green screen that they're gonna pop up when they're using it and put it down when they're done. Number two, can you follow the instructions of always lifting from that center point? Because if you get off on the sides at all, you might have some issues there. And number three, is this size big enough for you? Is this space big enough for what you need? Depends on really your use case. If you're a gamer, plenty of size. For what I'm doing, plenty of size. But if you have a couple of people, you either need multiple of these or you need a different solution. The only nervousness I have is this ever so slight roundiness at these edges. I wish the tension was just a little bit better here to keep it straighter. But other than that, it doesn't seem to be really affecting anything and it doesn't cause any shadows. So I think we're good to go. I'm very excited to have this in the studio so I can take down my other green screen, open this area up, and see where it takes us. This has been Paul with the Neewer roll-up green screen. Thank you for watching.